Today I'm sharing my full, long-term review of the Gamdia's Aura GC1 Elite ARGB, a mid-tower ATX case that's been on the radar of many PC builders, especially those looking for style and functionality without spending a fortune. I've been using this case in a mid-range AMD build for the past month and a half, and I've had enough time to test it in daily use, under gaming load, and during long productivity sessions. In this review, I'll cover everything from the design and airflow to the build process, cable management, thermal performance, and even the small details that often get overlooked in first impressions. Let's begin with the overall look and feel. The Aura GC1 Elite ARGB has a very modern and aggressive design. The first thing you notice is the mesh front panel, which doesn't just look good, it's also highly functional. Behind that panel are three pre-installed 120mm ARGB fans, and there's a fourth one in the rear. The fans light up beautifully, especially in darker rooms or setups with controlled lighting. What's nice is that the RGB effects are not overdone, they're vibrant, but not too flashy unless you want them to be. You can change the colors and modes directly using a button on the top panel, or you can sync the fans with your motherboard's RGB software if it supports 3-pin 5V ARGB headers. The case is built with a steel frame and plastic front, which is expected in this price range, but it actually feels quite solid. The tempered glass side panel gives it a premium touch. It's slightly tinted but still gives a clear view of your components and lighting. The panel is secured with two thumb screws and a bottom slot, so it's easy to remove and reinstall without worrying about dropping it. Now, when it comes to airflow and cooling, the case performs impressively well. The combination of the mesh front panel and for fans means there's constant circulation through the system. I used this case with an AMD Ryzen 5 3400G and later added a GTX 1660 Super to test thermal performance under load. Even during extended gaming sessions, GPU and CPU temperatures stayed within safe limits without thermal throttling. For a case in this price range to offer that kind of airflow out of the box is honestly rare. And for those who want more cooling, there's support for two additional 120mm fans on the top or even a 240mm radiator if you want to go for an AIO water cooler. The front can fit up to a 360mm radiator, depending on your GPU length and front clearance. Speaking of space, you can install graphics cards up to 300mm in length, which covers most modern GPUs, and CPU air coolers up to 160mm tall. That gives you a lot of flexibility for choosing components, even if you're planning a future upgrade. Let's talk about cable management, which is often a concern in budget cases. The Aura GC1 Elite does a decent job here. It's not the most spacious behind the motherboard tray, but it provides just enough room to route the main cables, including the 24-pin, CPU 8-pin, and GPU power cables. There are rubber grommets for cable pass-through and several tie-down points to secure everything in place. You'll need a bit of patience, especially if you're using a non-modular power supply with a lot of excess cables, but with some effort you can achieve a pretty clean look. The PSU shroud at the bottom really helps to hide the clutter and also improves internal airflow by separating heat zones. Storage support is fairly standard for a case of this size. You get mounting points for two 2.5-inch SSDs on the back side of the motherboard tray, and room for two 3.5-inch HDDs in the lower cage under the shroud. If you're going all SSD or using M.2 storage, this layout should be more than enough. Now, onto the front I/O panel. You've got a power button, reset button, one USB 3.0 port, two USB 2.0 ports, audio jacks for headphones and microphone, and an ARGB control button. The ports are positioned at the top of the case, which is convenient if the case is placed on the floor. The only small complaint I have is the lack of a USB Type-C port, which is becoming more common in newer motherboards and accessories. That said, at this price point, it's not something I expect, but it's worth mentioning if future-proofing is important to you. Now for a couple of downsides. The biggest one is the lack of proper dust filtration. While the front mesh panel acts as a basic dust screen, the top of the case is completely open, and there's no included filter. The bottom has a PSU filter, but it's not the easiest to remove or clean. If you're living in a dusty environment or have pets, I'd recommend adding your own magnetic filters on the top and even behind the front panel if you're particular about cleanliness. It's not a deal breaker, but something to consider. The build process overall was smooth. All the standoffs were pre-installed for ATX motherboards, and I didn't run into any clearance issues. The tempered glass panel didn't require extra support while mounting it, and all screw holes lined up perfectly. That's often not the case with cheaper chassis, so credit to Gamdias for quality control here. Let me also mention the value this case offers. For a modest price, you're getting a sharp-looking case, for pre-installed ARGB fans, tempered glass, and a design that allows for solid airflow without needing any extra purchases. In fact, if you were to buy 4 separate ARGB fans alone, you'd probably spend as much as the case itself. That's a huge selling point. To wrap it up, the Gamdias Aura GC1 Elite ARGB is a great case for anyone building on a budget but still wanting a system that looks great and runs cool. It has its flaws, mainly the lack of dust filters and no USB-C, but it makes up for that with pre-installed lighting, decent build quality, and strong airflow. Whether you're a first-time builder or just looking to put together a clean and modern gaming rig without breaking the bank, this case deserves to be on your shortlist. Let me know if you want to see how my full setup looks inside the case or if you'd like benchmarks of thermals under load. Thanks for watching, and I hope this helped you decide whether the Gamdias Aura GC1 Elite is right for you. One of the standout features of the Gamdias Aura GC1 Elite is its built-in ARGB lighting system. The case comes with 4 pre-installed 120mm ARGB fans, 3 at the front and 1 in the rear, and they really bring the build to life. What's great about ARGB, which stands for Addressable RGB, is that each LED on the fan can be controlled individually. That means you can create smooth color transitions, effects like rainbow waves, breathing, pulsing, and much more, instead of just having one solid color across the whole fan. Now, if your motherboard supports 5v3-pin ARGB headers, you can connect the fans directly and control the lighting through software like ASUS Aura Sync, MSI Mystic Light, Gigabyte RGB Fusion, or ASRock Polychrome. This gives you full customization. You can match the lighting to your build theme, react to system temperatures, or sync with other RGB components like RAM, GPU, and even peripherals. But even if you don't have a compatible motherboard, don't worry. The case includes a built-in ARGB controller and a physical button on the top panel. You can cycle through different lighting modes, colors, and effects with a single press, no software required. It's plug and play and works out of the box, which is ideal for beginners or budget builds. In terms of brightness and smoothness, the ARGB fans are surprisingly good. The lighting is even and vibrant without being too flashy. It adds a premium look to the case, and at night, it looks especially clean through the tempered glass side panel. Overall, the ARGB implementation on the Aura GC1 Elite is one of its strongest selling points. It looks great, it's easy to control, and it doesn't require any extra investment in RGB accessories.